Good morning. Please welcome Vice President, Marketing and Communications, Aaron Fagan.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Sumo Logic's second annual user conference, Illuminate. It's amazing to see all of you here. We have well over 500 customers and partners who are going to join us today. It's amazing the growth of this company and this community. It was about 3.5 years ago that I was in New York City, and I was moderating a panel of Sumo users at a launch of continuous intelligence. And it was an eclectic group. I had CISO of metadata. I had a just out of college API dev lead from Wink. I had a VP of infrastructure from Scholastic, a 100-year-old media company that was making the shift to public cloud. I had a head of IT and security from Greenhouse, a born-in-the-cloud company based right there in Soho. It was an eclectic group in the room, business and technologists, all trying to figure out this public cloud thing. Two things stuck with me over these years. The first, that Sumo Logic had built something new, something that hadn't existed before. And that continuous intelligence, an analytic solution that is delivered and consumed as a service that mirrors the operational and economic model of cloud computing and modern applications was essential, a critical component of the go-forward model. The second thing that stood out with me was how many different people were in the room. This was not a technology that was built for a single use case or a single persona. That was very interesting to me at that time. Today, Sumo is very clear of our purpose. We're here to empower the people who power modern business, all of you. And we built a video to tell you that story. Please play the video. All right. So our brand going forward is going to have that energy and tell that story. And it's exciting to launch it here at Illuminate with all of you here today. So let's talk about Illuminate. For those of you joining us via webcast, it's hard for you to see, but this is one giant room. This is a very different user conference than most people are used to. Certainly I'm used to. There's 5 screens, 40 sessions. Everyone's together. Partners, customers, peers, thought leaders, everybody's here. The whole structure of this program is based on giving you as much choice as possible and as much relevant content as possible. Our goal is to make sure that you leave here over these 2 days much better equipped to take the full value of the Sumo platform back to your organizations. So let's talk about the day. So we're already well underway. We actually started at 8 a.m. this morning. We've given several hundred certifications already. We'll do this keynote. We'll hear from a couple great customers. We'll take a lunch break. We'll then go into the 5 separate tracks, all the product tracks and the customer tracks. Between 5 and 7, we'll do a fun customer appreciation event. We're actually going to throw an Oktoberfest. So if you like beer and extruded meats and sauerkraut, please make sure to join us between 5 and 7. It'll be a great time. We start early tomorrow. So group meetings and breakfast will start as early as 7:30 with the Women of Illuminate gathering starting at 7:30 and other conversations. We then go into the keynote, the morning keynote, at 9 a.m. There'll be 3 sections to this. The first section will be a technical presentation from our founder and CTO and head of products, Christian and Bruno. And they're going to show some really interesting stuff that they've been building. So you want to hit that. The second part of the keynote will be a moderated panel on next generation security. And we'll have the CISOs of the Pokemon Company, and Anheuser-Busch on stage, as well as the head of AI and security investments for Greylock. It's moderated by our very own George Gerchow, so please make sure to see that. After that is a fireside chat. Some of you who were here last year might have remembered that we had Reid Hoffman come out and talk to us about what was going on. We have a very special guest tomorrow during the keynote. Same gravitas of Reid Hoffman, but a little different sector. I'm not going to announce the person yet. I'm going to wait till later today. But the person knows a thing or two about intelligence. So stay tuned for that. We'll then go into more breakout sessions. We'll have lunch, and we'll go through certifications. And we'll have a happy hour again tomorrow afternoon before people leave and head out. So this event, an event like this can't happen without incredible sponsors. And the partners who have aligned with us in this journey are just exceptional. And they're here today, and I really encourage everybody to go to the booths and to spend time with the partners and see what we're doing together. A special call out to AWS. They're the premier partner for this show. We've been a kindred spirit with AWS for 8 years now, and helping to move the world to a cloud-first model. Really appreciate them being here. Most important, we have almost 20 customers that have dedicated a lot of time to put together content to share with all of you. These customers are on the journey with Sumo, and they're transforming their organizations. And these are some incredible companies. Modern businesses running modern applications that are delivering incredible customer experience. Come and listen to these stories. Hear how they're advancing the ball in their own organizations. It gives me great pleasure to have you all here, and I hope that you get out of this everything that the Sumo team has put in. Dozens of people have worked very, very hard to make sure that this experience is stellar for all of you. So thank you for being here. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Sumo Logic's President and CEO, Ramin Sayar.
Good morning. It's quite an emotional experience being here. And for those of us who are joining us here at the conference, and for all of those who are joining us streaming, a heartfelt appreciation and thanks. This is something very special and unique, not just for me, but I know for everyone here at Sumo. And it's special because we're on to something new, as you heard Aaron talk about. The community that we've created together. This community is thriving. This community is powerful. This community is amazing. In fact, as I look back this past year, and I look at some of those customers who have joined us during this journey, either new or incremental usage and adoption of our platform, it gives me heartfelt pride and joy. This is just a sample list of some of those who have new and joined us, but you can see that it spans every single industry. Technology, born and bred in the cloud, versus those who are trying to make that transformation to the cloud. And for that, we're amazingly grateful and appreciative. But it goes beyond just the customers who are joining us now and in the future. It's what we're doing together. In fact, together, we're driving massive adoption. Massive adoption and ingest in terms of this cloud-native machine data analytics platform. That's only delivered by Sumo and can only be delivered by Sumo. Since 2012, we've seen 125,000% growth in terms of data ingest. To put in perspective for you, what does that mean? Well, every single day, we are ingesting more than 100 terabytes of data. Every single day, we're analyzing over 100 petabytes of data. And every single day, you are querying over 35 million searches on top of this platform. So for that, we're very appreciative and grateful. But it's not just about the data ingest. It's also about who's getting value out of this platform. And we pay very close attention to our users and our adoption. We've instrumented everything in our service. And one of the things we've been looking at is what are similarities of those customers who are accelerating their journey and adoption faster from others? And as we looked at it, the first year when you become a Sumo customer, we see on average more than 2x growth in number of users. That's great. But in the second year, we see 5x growth of number of users on our platform. So while the number of users is great and the amount of data is great, we also want to know who's using it and for what, and how do we get smarter and deliver more value for you. So we started to look into the personas. We started to look into use cases. We started to look into the metadata. And the personas stood out for us because we are cracking the code on machine data analytics. And by that, what I mean is not only is it the obvious DevOps, TechOps, site reliability engineers, core dev, platform engineering, but it's a slew of other users, product managers, customer success, support, and obviously security operations and analysts. So it's spreading like wildfire in the organizations. And we're very eager to see more of this. And so when we looked at this data, we wanted to see, is this just a Sumo thing or is this an industry thing? So what we ended up doing is we partnered with the 451 and we decided to have them go do a research study and understand how are organizations getting value out of machine data analytics. And one of the things that came back from this report and study was over 60% of the customers using machine data analytics are using it for gaining business insights and customer insights. And of those, not surprisingly, a lot of them were digital transformation initiatives, and a lot of those were actually looking at usage, looking at application performance, and the list goes on and on. But the point was, all these other areas in the organization are starting to come together. And we'll talk more about this in terms of collaboration and the whole notion of DevSecOps. So what was interesting is the findings of this report were unique and new to the analyst group, but they weren't unique and new to us. You know why? Because together, we've been democratizing machine data for well over 8 years. And together, what we've been doing is driving more and more meetups. You've asked for them, we've been doing them, and we're very appreciative of all the customers who've helped host those. Together, we've been driving global certifications because you want more. You want more training. You want more certifications. You want updates in those, and you want them around the globe. Together, we've been actually driving more technical documentation, videos, tutorials, other means through Slack channels, so you can communicate, you can collaborate, you can get intelligent. Together, we are illuminating machine data. So for that, I'm very grateful and appreciative, and thanks for everyone for joining us today. As I think about democratization, and as I think about the journey of our customers, it gives me great pride to actually share one of those customer stories with you. One customer that we're all very familiar with, you probably carry one of their devices, Samsung. You probably have a smart home running on them, smart home things. And so I'd like to start with having a video from Robert Parker, CTO of Samsung SmartThings, and then I'll invite up founder and CTO, founder and VP of Engineering, Scott Vlamick, tell us a little bit more about what they're doing using the power of this machine data analytics platform to democratize within Samsung. With that, let's roll the video.
In March of 2015, we started with our journey with Sumo. It has been really transformational for our company. It's been a really important part of our growth because in IoT, we're coming from thousands of users to millions of users to hundreds of millions of users. Our most recent application has been downloaded more than 150 million times from the Google Play Store. We started off using Sumo primarily in support of dev operations and financial use cases at the company. But we really moved to a stage of what I would call pervasive adoption. What does pervasive adoption mean for us? Pervasive adoption is that 95% of our employees have a Sumo account and use Sumo as part of all of their workflows. Pervasive adoption means that as we look at our developers, they're creating Sumo dashboards before things are in production. They're also using it as a key part of the development process. This starts from looking at open merges and branches to understanding where we are with code reviews to all of the other metrics that make the development process important so that we have cradle to grave involvement in our service. Beyond that, in customer service, We have our customer service dashboards where they started looking at key development, operational, customer metrics, and moved beyond that to really be able to have insight about the broader industry as a whole. One of the ways that brings all this together into really a single story is the launch of our flagship Galaxy devices. We made a number of models about how this would work, how many users we thought would adopt it. All those models turned out to be wildly inaccurate. Sumo, on the Friday of the launch, was able to give us a set of leading indicators that said adoption was much higher than we were expecting. It turned out that we ended up creating between 5,000 and 10,000 accounts per minute at a sustained rate over the weekend for a total of almost 40 million customer accounts. With Sumo Logic, we were able to rally the entire company behind responding to this, actioning the key critical events, getting the insight that we needed to have systems scale, in some cases as much as 1,000 times what they were expecting in terms of traffic. Where are we going with Sumo in the future, you might ask? You know, as we've gone to having it being well integrated into our division and everything that we do in IoT, we're bringing those things to broader Samsung. And so it's starting to be adopted across the cloud that Samsung uses. As a very large company with 330,000 employees across the world, there's a lot of value that we think can be extracted from the large amounts of data that are flowing through the entire organization. That's really the next step, is to unlock some of that data.
Please welcome from Samsung SmartThings, Scott Vlamick.
Thank you. So thanks for having us. At SmartThings, SmartThings is the easy way to turn your home into a smart home. And Sumo Logic helps us do that. As Robert mentioned, we have millions of active users in 88 countries, and we've been using Sumo Logic for the last 3.5 years to really give us better insights into what those customers are doing. So I want to talk just briefly today about what we do, why, and how Sumo helps us. We start always by focusing on the customer and what it is that they want to do. So over the last 5 years, it's been mostly smart home automation, looking at lights, turning them on and off as you come and go, but also thermostat use cases. And lately, we've been moving into smart home security because of customer demand. They want to be able to use their cameras and automate their locks. And building on that base of what customers want, we have a strong vision of where IoT should go. So all Samsung devices are connected now in a unified way. And we've built the SmartThings app so that users can interact with their home in entirely new ways. It's available on phones, tablets, TVs, fridges, and wearables so that people can control their devices wherever they are at any time. And our mission is to grow IoT to drive real value to real people in each of the countries that we serve, beyond just smart home use cases. And smart home security is just the beginning of that. To make this all possible, we've built an IoT platform running in multiple regions around the world. We're running over 2,000 servers, handling more than 200,000 requests per second. And Sumo helps us keep track of all of that. And we're not just the unified IoT backend for all Samsung devices. We believe that being open is paramount to being able to offer customers the best possible smart home experience. In any open platform, it's key to foster a healthy ecosystem. We're proud of the over 45 partnerships we've built because it means that our customers can use any of the 4 voice assistants we support to control the 175 certified third-party devices. It's a challenging task, and Sumo helps to make that happen. With Sumo Logic, we can get real-time insights into the hands of people as fast as possible. And this is what we mean by pervasive adoption. So what does this mean on the ground? We started our journey with Sumo focusing mostly on log aggregation and querying. Developers and quality engineers all throughout the DevOps and release engineering cycle. A lot of the benefit that we get from Sumo, though, comes from the dashboards. They're extremely valuable to our operations. One of our architects, in fact, has over 60 personal dashboards himself. The engineering teams at SmartThings completely own their microservices and everything about them, including releases, and day-to-day operations. And our Sumo dashboards help us through that development cycle. But it's not just developers. Our quality engineers use Sumo when investigating problems and share links to those queries in bug tickets. Most of the time, our engineering teams are building their service dashboards before ever going to production. Code doesn't go to production without a Sumo dashboard to support it. These dashboards provide operational visibility, helping us to see system performance, partner performance, and everything in between. We use it for deployment monitoring, canary analysis, tracking error rates and latency, because we found that no matter how many automated tests we have, there are some issues that we just don't encounter until we hit production. In fact, because the engineering teams own everything about their service, we even give them a view into their own usage of Sumo Logic. This is helpful because not long ago, one of our microservices was deployed with an updated common cache library where, unbeknownst to us, the configs had changed and unintentionally started logging almost 3 terabytes a day. A dashboard like this helped us stay on top of that. And as Robert mentioned in the video, we've also taken it further and deeper into the development process. We use Sumo for a higher level view on the habits and process of how teams work, specifically around branching and merging of their code base. Now, any given day is not terribly interesting or important here, but we find that looking at how those metrics change over the course of a release give us insight into how feature completion is progressing. And so we've really brought Sumo Logic deep into our development process, just as Robert said, from cradle to grave. Building on our operational metrics, we've found it easy to generalize these to a higher level dashboards for pass-fail metrics around our most important KPIs. Add alerting to that, and we have real-time view of how the service is doing, helping us to drive better response times to serve our customers better. And as Robert mentioned, it's not just engineers that use Sumo heavily. Our customer service team is super technical, and when customers reach out to them, they query Sumo almost right away. They've even started creating their own dashboards so that they can be alerted before customers start complaining. In addition, we gather product insights through use of Sumo Logic as well. Our product team uses Sumo dashboards to better understand customer behavior and to watch how new feature adoption comes out as releases are rolled forward. Our security team uses Sumo Logic dashboards to look at app usage trends and access key rotation, as well as SSH access patterns. With this overview and trending, we have a better view of how we're doing on standard security best practices. A big area where we use Sumo Logic is for partner health metrics. As a platform, we don't own all of the code that brings value to our users, but our customers do expect us to own the outcome for them. So we watch health rates, error rates, latency, as well as onboarding metrics to make sure we're providing the best experience to our customers that we can. So with Sumo Logic, we use it across the organization. As Robert mentioned in the video, over 95% of our employees use Sumo Logic. And it enables quicker and deeper insights across the org, empowering employees in any part of SmartThings to help us drive a deeper level of customer satisfaction. We want to get insights into the hands of people as fast as possible, not just engineering insights, but product insights as well. That's what we're talking about when we say pervasive adoption, pervasive usage within SmartThings. It's not just DevOps. It's fully integrated so we can see full spectrum how things are working across the platform. This is what continuous intelligence means to us. We've been super happy using Sumo Logic, and we're happy to grow with them, and I'm glad to have a chance to share our experiences with you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
What a great story. Millions of customers, thousands of employees, 95% adoption inside SmartThings to use a machine data analytics platform to drive analytics and insights. Thank you for sharing that with us. Speaking of the platform, I want to talk a little bit more about what we're doing and our strategy around this platform and specifics. Well, I want to take a step back first and talk about why we're here and put it in context. We all know and everyone talks about this notion of digital transformation, but there's a few key drivers that are accelerating machine data and machine data analytics that's very relevant. First, everyone's focused, like as we just heard, on end user experiences. And the way that's been grown with the adoption of cloud and mobile is further accelerating that. Second, the need for speed and decisions and agility, as we just heard, in terms of getting full visibility into the development pipeline and releases and iterations and quality and code and reliability to ultimately new services and how end users experience that. All that is powered by these new modern applications that are architected and fundamentally need to be managed differently. And with that, our strategy remains the same. We've been focused on driving three things when it comes to fueling the analytics economy. First, we want to continue to focus on driving cloud scale economics for machine data analytics, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Second, we want to make sure that we continue the journey that we started on very early with respect to unification of data, data of all sorts, structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, so you can leverage this platform in unique and different ways. And last but definitely not least, we want ubiquitous access and proliferation of users across not just your own organizations, but even your partners and customers, like we've seen already, adopt and use the Sumo platform. So now I want to talk a little bit more about what we're doing in these few areas and some exciting announcements we have to make today. Let's first start with the first one with respect to empowering cloud scale economics. Ever since I've been at Sumo and ever since we started the company, we've routinely heard from our customers and consistently, not all data is equal. And as you scratch on that, there's a very clear theme that comes about. You want to discriminate your data. You want to be able to decide how and where you store and persist that data. You have some of your data that's mission critical, real time. You have some of your data that's actually important but less frequently accessed. And you have some of that data that's infrequently accessed, and some of that data you just need to store and persist for a long time for audited purposes or compliance purposes. And you need one single platform to do so. Historically, you've been sending all your mission-critical data into Sumo, and more recently, some of your important data, and you've had to find out other ways to store data outside in various open source technologies and other providers, and you've been telling us very consistently, I don't want to do that. It's a headache and a nightmare. I want one single platform for this. And no longer do I want to have to do these trade-offs between volume versus performance and value. I want one single service, one single partner to deliver that. So what are we announcing? New CloudFlex capabilities to enable this for you. We started very early on with allowing you to define different ways of different ways of persisting your enhanced data. And then we quickly announced more recently the notion of basic data. So you can start to ad hoc and infrequent use cases such as compliance and reporting, be able to part the data, store it and persist it differently, but pay a much lower cost. And now we're also excited to announce the innovation that we've been working on with respect to cold storage so that you can persist data even for a lot longer, and God forbid, in the event that you have a security breach or you have audit purposes or other needs, to be able to re-ingest that data and be able to analyze it. So with that, we're empowering you to empower the machine data analytics platform that you've bet on, and that's Sumo. So ultimately, that's helping you derive what you've been asking for. Deliver me a value-based consumption model. So it's available here today. There's more sessions on it, and there's more capabilities coming soon. So thank you to the product and engineering team for delivering this massive, innovative release. Speaking of massive, innovative releases, we've been busy. We've been pushing it every single week. What I mean by that is every single week, developers have been pushing code. Every single week, we're releasing new capabilities. We've done over 50 releases that are significant for you. And some of those major releases are in the platform, such as the illities we like to talk about. Availability, scalability, reliability. We don't take those for granted. We put a lot of emphasis and investment there because we need to be reliable, secure, and trusted. But on top of that foundation and platform, what we've also done is done major usability enhancements. Search performance, which I'll talk a little bit about. Open APIs, the ability to get data in and out, and a slew of other things. But today, I want to focus on two specific ones. First, I want to talk about some updates we've made to our operational analytics use case that you leverage and rely on Sumo for. The first one is around search templates. This is something you've been asking for quite some time. The ability for non-power users who don't want to geek out and write queries to be able to log into Sumo and be able to have a dashboard created for them or have an autocomplete dialog box so it actually brings up the relevant data in context without having to know the specifics of ins and outs. This is a massive capability. It's not only for operational analytics, it's used for security analytics as well. So it's available already. It's in your platform. Take advantage of it. Second area that we want to highlight is something that we actually pioneered. We were the first to market to announce the unification of data, back to point number 2. We announced the fact that you don't need a platform that's one over here for metrics, one over here for logs, another one over here for security, another one over here for that. You need one single platform. So over 2 years ago, we announced the unification of logs and metrics. And guess what? Copycat. Every other vendor out there started to announce the same thing. But there's only one vendor that can do that, and that's Sumo. So now we've announced even something that's more important. We've actually allowed you to not only continue to reduce your costs, but get more value out of Sumo by taking your log data and be able to convert it into metrics. And be able to decide how much of that data you persist and store, be able to correlate that in one unified platform, and be able to analyze and be able to have much more effective ways of monitoring and troubleshooting. So this has been in beta. We appreciate a lot of the customers who've given us feedback, but now it's announced today and it's available to you. So once again, great job to the product and engineering teams. Let's shift gears, because there's more innovations, more announcements, and more excitement. The first is security. For a long time, this has been a bad word, particularly because of the connotation associated with various legacy vendors, particularly because of the connotation of this, SIM. When I first got here, SIM was a dirty word. In the industry, SIM is a dirty word, because vendors have let you down. Vendors have let you down because they have not kept up. Technologies have let you down because they're not relevant. The old world of on-prem, rules-based correlation just can't keep up. This is what you're telling us. And you're stuck in this situation where you're straddling the line between the old and the new. And you want one single platform to deal with this new world, this digital transformation, and security in a different way. All these concerns and complaints that you brought up to us, you've been gradually using more and more Sumo to be able to deliver security analytics. But now, what you've been asking us for is take it one step further. Don't just provide me with a subset of the capabilities. Provide me with 80+% of what a SIM does, but a cloud-native architecture and backend, and I will whole hog move over. Well, this is what we've been working on. For a long time, we've been using our platform for democratizing security by looking at some of the examples you heard from Samsung or other customers who look at compliance and audit. We've done a lot to bring new application sources, not just infrastructure sources, to the mix and integrate it into the platform as well. Recently, we announced some capabilities around how we provide investigation workflows to help troubleshoot for security analysts and operations. And now we're taking it one step further to bridge that divide. Bridge that divide between DevSecOps and the Security Operations Center, or the SOC, because that's next. So what are we announcing? Today, Sumo is announcing the new Cloud SIM. This is something we've been working on for quite some time, and obviously we have a long history and heritage here, so we wanted to make sure we do it right, we do it professionally, and we do it with you. So this has been in the works for quite some time. It's been in beta now, and there's more work to do, and I encourage you to get a little bit more sense of that throughout this conference, but I just want to give you a sneak peek of what it includes. Well, I mentioned earlier that there's all sorts of data that's there, right? From endpoint to firewall, network, storage devices, identity, SaaS, cloud, the list goes on and on. What we decided to do is make it very seamless for you to ingest all that data, be able to analyze and correlate, improve the parsers, correlation rules through machine learning, and add this investigation workflow to be able to bring the teams together, particularly security operations analysts, in one unified way. And so what you're seeing here, screenshot of the investigation workflow that helps accelerate the detection, 1, optimize for the collaboration that I mentioned, 2, and fuels the lifecycle notion of DevSecOps, 3, and last but definitely not least, built and run and powered by the platform you've already relied on for security for quite some time. So thank you to this product and engineering team for the hard work. We still have a lot more to do. I encourage you to go to the sessions tomorrow and throughout today to learn more. So we've talked about some announcements, more specifically in areas of operational analytics, around search templates, some things to do in logs to metrics. We talked about the cloud consumption model to lower your cost, value and be able to migrate off your legacy and, more importantly, your various open source trolls that are out there in terms of services and technologies. And we talked about an innovative new way to address the issues with that bad word, SIM. And you heard from customers about how they're leveraging Sumo to be their new SIM. But actually, what's interesting here is while all those innovations and use cases and improvements we've done are extremely important and very valuable, personally, and all of Sumo, and I can speak on behalf of everyone in the company, we're just beginning. We're just beginning to understand how we can take advantage of this massive platform that you are feeding every single day in new and interesting and innovative ways to leverage the platform specifically to do and deliver new insights, new intelligence, and new analytics. So today, I'm actually happy to announce some new areas of enhancements and major modifications made to our platform with the industry's first global intelligence service. This can only be done by a platform like Sumo that's truly multi-tenant, that runs across all cloud providers, takes data from all your data centers, colos, SaaS providers, and the like, to be able to aggregate all this information and provide 3 fundamental game-changing capabilities. First, it's around what we refer to as industry insights. Second, it's something around community insights. And third, it's around data science insights. So let's take a closer look at each one of these 3. Starting with the first. We started actually 3 years ago on this journey with respect to putting out the first industry report around trends and adoptions for what we refer to as the modern app stack. And this report gained a lot of adoption, and in some cases, a lot of criticism. And the criticism came from those who were being left behind. The adoption and the compliments came from those who are actually using a platform like this and using these various technologies to be able to accelerate their own transformations. In this year's report, we saw some very interesting trends. Some of the trends we saw was centered around the need for flexibility and the need specifically for choice. The first main takeaway we saw with this report was multi-cloud is real, multi-cloud adoption is here, multi-cloud is the choice in the future. And in fact, multi-cloud usage, meaning customers using more than one platform to be able to manage their applications, their workloads, their infrastructure, had doubled year over year from last year. That is, you're using AWS and Azure or GCP or a combination of all those. The second thing we noticed was that AWS still leads by a far margin, but Azure's usage and growth has doubled year over year. And over the last 6 months, we've seen a massive increase in interest in GCP. So that means we're just embarking upon this real need and, more importantly, this real value of multi-cloud usage and capability. The second thing we took away from this report is that the adoption of new technologies for modern applications and microservices-based applications is running away. What do I mean? Well, last year we saw a lot of usage of containers and orchestration technologies, but now that's all moved to production. So we've seen 33% of the AWS customers start to use things like Lambda, and we've seen about 30% of our customers start to use orchestration and the containers to drive their new modern applications. That is here, that is real, that is now. That is what you can leverage from Sumo. And a lot of you have helped us and pushed us to be able to innovate there, and now we're seeing the usage and adoption there. And the third thing, talking about security again, right? While we've seen good progress with respect to native security services used by the cloud platforms, unfortunately, only 25% or a quarter of the customers are using threat intelligence feeds to be able to get insights and intelligence of what's going on in your infrastructure on Amazon or on-prem and be able to get consolidated views of what's called indicators of compromise or IOCs. News alert, this is available to you for free in the platform in Sumo. Leverage it, use it, and get smarter and get more intelligent. This is what this report's about. It's always about the industry, and we'll always be truthful. We'll always be pointing out the areas that we see in innovations and technologies, and this will be not only in a report, but soon, eventually, even into the product. So the second thing I want to talk about, outside of industry insights, is actually community insights, because that's why we're here. That's what Illuminate's all about. And the community insights is all about the usage of our platform. all the metadata that we're analyzing every single day, all the things that you're ingesting to Sumo, and that's been anonymized. And for what reason? Well, many of you said to me personally when I've been on the road meeting with you or you come visited us, that you know better. You understand how customers are using Sumo. You guys have better understanding of baselines and trends and benchmarks. You're analyzing all this data. Give it to us. Help us make smarter decisions on what not just technologies we use, but how we compare. Keep us real. So what we've done now is we've introduced the world's first community insights engine. And what is it? Well, specifically, it allows you to have a set of operational KPIs, such as utilization versus benchmark in this use case. And we can look at how am I compared in terms of CPU utilization versus the global signature or the global view that we have across all deployments in the world. The second thing I can start to look at is how does my own usage compare in terms of cost by source type and by instance type? Whether I'm using on-demand, whether I'm using reserve instances, whether it's EC2 or S3 or the like, and for other providers, how do I compare? Am I good? Am I not good? This is the truth dashboard, as we like to call it. And this truth dashboard helps you get better, get smarter, and get more intelligent. Speaking of intelligent, it's not just about operations. It's also about security. That's the theme of the day. And we also introduced not just KPIs, but key risk indicators, such as threat. I mentioned earlier the adoption of threat intelligence and feeds and usage is not yet where it needs to be. We made it that much easier for you now. Now we're providing insights right into the product natively so you can start to understand how does your threat posture compare? Me versus everyone else in my community of users across Sumo. And not just the threat posture comparison and benchmark, but also how does it compare in terms of by type of actor, the bad actor, bad nation. So all that information you can drill down into the product and start to take immediate action. Guess what? No one else is doing this today. And only we can do it because of you. Only we can do it because of the massive platform we built, and we're just beginning. So we're super excited. It's early, it's new, it's innovative, and it's here and available now for you to take advantage of. Shifting gears, outside of community insights, I'm really passionate about the third area, as I'm not necessarily just passionate about everything else, but the third area for us is not just about community insights. It's about data science insights. We've seen over the last couple of years, and I mentioned this earlier, in terms of the personas and users starting to extract value out of Sumo, start to take data and export it out into other systems, visualization tools, other things. And so when they came to us, these users said, make it easier. Make it simpler. We need to get more value out of Sumo northbound, not just southbound. And we want our data engineers, as well as our data scientists, to be able to take the power of what Sumo has and tie it into some of the things that are out there. So we decided to release Data Science Insights, and it's fundamentally built on this platform of Sumo Logic, but more specifically, it ties in all to machine libraries and frameworks like TensorFlow, eventually Gluon, if you want to use other frameworks like R, and then ties it more specifically into notebook software, so it's delivered very seamless to you as a container. You can deploy it on your laptop, you can deploy it in the cloud, and guess what? You can easily and more effectively build, run models, and be able to iterate on those models and pipelines. We're just beginning here as well. We actually announced a partnership with a vendor called Trifacta, who's here on the show floor, that can start to cleanse that data as you get it out of Sumo, and there's more to come still. So this is something that we're super excited about, and this is something that you should definitely go get some more insights and intelligence around in terms of sessions, and you'll be more coming from this going forward. But we're only as strong as the community. And the community is not just the users. The community is also the partners, many of which are here today. And once again, thank you for your sponsorship and support. When we look at our role and to be that single platform that integrates and ingests various data from all the different sources across your source repository downstream to monitoring and security, we know we have to play well together. And one of the areas we're trying to play well together is to tear down the silos. Enable the collaboration that you've been asking for. And specifically, to leverage this platform to bring dev, sec, and ops more closely together in terms of collaboration, communication, and effective working experience. So we've done a lot, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of key updates around our UI, around user experience, around data sources. And we've done a lot in terms of the cloud SIM. We've done a lot in terms of operational analytics, individually, but also collectively. And a lot of that's also premised on how we play better together with the technologies that you're using every single day. The technologies that you're using to break down the silos across these three parts of your organization and how you actually build, run, and secure modern applications. So we want to give you a glimpse of what you're able to do with Sumo. With Sumo, you're able to get insights into your DevOps pipeline. As you heard from Samsung, they can start to tie into GitHub, JFrog Artifactory. If you're looking at Atlassian and Jira, you're looking at various technologies that you use to build your apps, so you can have an understanding from source all the way through. These dashboards are there. And it's not just Sumo building them. It's you building them, the community. A lot of this is out there actually in open source. A lot of this out there for you guys to share, and we've done a lot to export, import that data through capabilities called content sharing that allows you to get this intelligence and insights. So I encourage you to go and get smarter here at the bar, actually, that's later for tonight. I encourage you to go get smarter here at the Partner Pavilion and the breakout sessions about what we're doing, not just here, but also around operational analytics and monitoring, because those two go hand in hand. Troubleshooting and monitoring cannot be separate. So stop the swivel chair correlation, start to use the power of Sumo, and start to understand how you can get smarter. And one of the ways you get smarter is understand what other customers are doing and how we've actually integrated a lot of these partners and sources. For example, if you get rid of that fly, for example, what we're doing in terms of the monitoring. So a lot of cases what customers are saying to us is, I want an early detection warning system. And Sumo does a fantastic job of that. But I also want to close the loop. I want closed loop incident management. So that means that from detection of a potential outage, performance issue, KPI derivation, I want to be able to tie it into Slack, because I want to create a war room. And then I want to be able to tie it into my incident management system, for example, with ServiceNow, and I want visibility, auditability, and I want to be able to reassure that when this happens, we know what to do again. So it's really taking it from analytics and monitoring to full automation. Third area is around security again. So as I mentioned earlier, we've done a lot over the last couple of years to integrate all the various discrete sources, right? You heard from MLB. Some of the sources they're using themselves there. And a lot of our other customers are coming to us and saying, I'm standardizing on Palo Alto, Carbon Black, Cylance, Zscaler, you name it, technologies, and I want all that insight and all that intelligence from Sumo. So we've done that for you. Now we've created dashboards so you can understand when you have user behavior activity that's running amok. Why is Ramin logging in from 2 different locations concurrently from the same or different IP addresses around the world? And how does that, is that real? Is that fake? So understanding the implications that activity of users based on the sources that you're using, the endpoint to the firewall to the network devices, and how you actually automate that whole loop again. So you can sandbox environments down, quarantine an environment, and then start to automate and remediate separately afterwards when you spun up another instance. That's what you're doing today already. So leverage the platform if you're not, get smarter, and understand what we're doing around security analytics, and especially around what we're doing with the partnerships and our Cloud SIM announcements today. Last but not least, you heard a lot from the last 2 customers examples around end user experience. We're all here because of the digital transformation. We're all here because we're maniacally focused on making sure that we can innovate, we can understand how customers are experiencing our services and applications, and therefore our platforms. And one of the things that we've seen a massive adoption for over the last couple of years in Sumo is not too dissimilar than how we use Sumo every single day. Similar to the stories you heard earlier, majority of Sumo uses Sumo, meaning we're eating our own dog food, drinking our own champagne, whatever analogy you want to use, and these are the types of information we look at. We want to look at CSAT. We want to look at number of tickets coming in and the closure rate. We want to look at other information in terms of adoption rates. And we rate and rank every single metric, KPI, KRI, per account, and we have a good understanding of what's going on and what we need to maybe reach out proactively or reactively to help for. And now we're seeing that same usage, that same need across other customers using Sumo in the context of business analytics or customer intelligence and insights. So once again, it might be tying into ServiceNow. It might be using New Relic. It might be using other technologies to give you that holistic view of how you're ultimately delivering value and how ultimately you're delivering customer experience. And last but not least, we live in the world of choice. We saw it from the Modern App Report, and we've seen it from your own adoption, and we've seen it from you here today talking about the need to be able to discriminate your data and decide where that data resides and have choice on which platform it runs. But you want one single machine data analytics platform to provide that for you, and that's Sumo. So we've done a lot to not only increase our support for AWS, but also Azure and GCP, and allow you to make those choices of where you store and persist your workloads and how you can seamlessly manage that. And so this gives you a view of how you can compare and contrast what's running in which provider. Now, to summarize, a lot of announcements today. I know I'm super excited. Hopefully you are as well. But I want to put it in context for you because these are only some of the new capabilities that we've announced or are about to announce in terms of what this means for us and what this means for us together, not just for Sumo. So we've talked a little bit about this whole DevSecOps. We've talked about the need to tear down those silos and bring these organizations and teams and tools and processes together. And our commitment to do so with not only just product capabilities, but everything we're doing with respect to learning and education and training and partnerships. But at the end of the day, what this really means for us is that you've entrusted Sumo to now be your new data steward. And as a result, we're enabling you to provide self-service analytics on top of this cloud-native machine data analytics platform. And ultimately, as I just spoke to you about, it's enabling you to become intelligent and drive intelligent automation across not just one area of your product organization or engineering organization or IT organization or security organization, but across it all so you can live and breathe and, more importantly, act in this new world that's required for DevSecOps to be successful and for all of us to be able to democratize machine data. So with that, as a recap, there's a lot of new announcements here. I encourage you to go to the breakout sessions. There'll be an opportunity for you to get your hands-on experience with some of these, and you can bet for sure that not only the stuff we're announcing now, the stuff coming will continue to help you innovate across these 4 areas, not only just our platform, and more in the future. So, on behalf of everyone at Sumo, the community, and personally, I want to thank everyone for your trust, for your partnership, for your confidence in Sumo, and our journey together to empower the people who power modern business. I hope you have a great conference. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to many more years together.